Hello and welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. We're back with the Irish Abroad. Full house in studio today. Steve, you're back.
Back in town.
I was worried about you for a while.
Nah. I'll always come back to my boys.
Yeah. More importantly though, I want to know what your thoughts are on Caoimhín Kelleher. Won the title with Liverpool this weekend. His first league title, I believe, with Liverpool didn't play enough games last time around to earn a medal. But first Irish player in 14 years since who to win a Premier League title?
Johnny Evans.
No, that was 12 years ago
John
for
O'Shea and
Irish
Darren Gibson.
International. Yeah, there you go. John O'Shea and Darren Gibson 14 years ago at United. It's been a long time coming, but Kelleher breaks that streak. Your thoughts on that?
Delighted for him. And he's won a few trophies at Liverpool as well. And Paul was kind of saying off camera, the last few years he's actually been contributing to them trophies as well. There was a couple of seasons ago where he played in 2 cup finals in one season against Chelsea. So yeah, I'm delighted for him. I'd like to see him maybe move on and be the number one somewhere else, because it's just a shame that he's number 2 to probably the best goalkeeper in the world. If not the best, the second best. There's an argument there, but yeah, I'd like to see him maybe get a move and be a number 1.
Yeah, I think it was 2 separate Carabao Cup finals. I don't think it was two finals in a row, but he won the both, and he obviously took a penalty and scored in the final. Was it the kick to win it?
I don't think it was the kick.
No.
But he definitely scored.
Yeah, it was
because then Kepa missed the penalty after.
Yeah, against Chelsea.
My mate Kepa. I met him at Chelsea against St. Pat's before. But no, the Kelleher winning, he's obviously contributed. This has kind of been his biggest season, you would have said, where he had to step up and stuff like that. He's obviously became Ireland's number 1 in that time as well. But yeah, it looks as though his time's coming to an end. It's a nice way for him to leave Liverpool. You couldn't ask probably for a better way to kind of bow out. Maybe he probably would have played more games he would have liked. But there was a point where Liverpool fans were happy to have him in there, not even worrying about Alisson. So that shows how good he's been for Liverpool. And I think there's not many Liverpool fans who wouldn't want to wish him well. Where he goes next, that remains to be seen. And there's a lot of low-end clubs. I wouldn't like to see him go to a low-end club. I don't want him to go to a club and then end up relegated the following year. It happens to too many of our Irish players. I'd like for him to be ambitious and take a big move. Someone like Chelsea need a keeper at the moment. I'd be looking at Kelleher replacing Sanchez there. He's shown he's more than capable. But we spoke to the Red Man last week about where he should go. And they were saying he needs to go and be a number 1, play 50 games a season. So I agree with them, and that's where I think he needs to go. What do you think? You're the goalkeeping analyst and expert here.
Yeah, well, Steve, you touched on it there. Like, he's contributed far more over the last couple of years. In the league this season, he's played 10 games, kept 4 clean sheets, played some huge games in the Champions League this year. You were talking about some of the lower end clubs that were kind of in from those rumours this week about Leeds United potentially.
Look, if Forest got into the Champions League, it wouldn't be a bad move for him.
I think they're happy enough with sales at the moment. I think Kelleher's a better keeper, but they think they're sorting that position.
Yeah, that's fair.
Leeds, I don't know if that's an actual rumour or whether he's just kind of on their wish list, because I know they've had problems at goalkeeper.
Yeah, they need a keeper, yeah.
Leeds, like, I wouldn't class them as really like a low end club. I'd say in their own right they're a huge club, especially in Ireland. But like you said, just a promoted team, you'd fear that
they're a low
season,
end club right now.
Yeah,
I mean, they got relegated. They came up before. Everyone thought they were going to come up and stay up and stuff like that. It wasn't like that. They're not the Leeds United of old. So people need to get off that train.
Yeah,
stop thinking.
I more so mean,
not you. Just there's people in Ireland who think that, and it's just not the case anymore. They're not what they used to be.
I more so mean, like, they're not kind of your average promoted team like a Luton Town or a Huddersfield or something. I
just think the gap now, Tom, is just becoming too big for promoted teams coming up, and he shouldn't be joining a promoted team. For what he's done for Liverpool, the credit he has in the bank, he should be going higher.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be advocating necessarily for him to go to Leeds. Having said that, a huge club like that, similar to how Forest have grown, Villa even not so long ago were in the Championship. It is doable for these clubs who are actually at a higher starting point than the likes of, like I said, a Luton Town and Ipswich, Huddersfield. They do have that backing behind them. As for Kelleher, I think I'd agree with you too that Chelsea would be a great move from. I know there's been a lot of turnover at that position at Chelsea, and that's because of the ownership group and their just like willingness to spend however much to kind of get positions right. Kind of craziness in the last couple of transfer windows for them. So that's what's put a lot of Irish fans off him going there. I think he would bring a bit of stability to that position for Chelsea. I think at times he's shown that maybe not necessarily a world class player, but like a top end Premier League goalkeeper that can perform at that level.
He'd actually go in and be one of the most experienced players in the squad because they're so young.
Yeah.
So it would suit, I think. And the fact that he's come in, he's just won the league, he's been in and around Champions League squads. Don't forget he had an unbelievable game against Real Madrid, saved Mbappe's penalty when Liverpool beat Real Madrid in the Champions League. So, you know, he's experienced big nights, he's experienced high pressure environments.
And he's learning from Alisson as well. You know, he's his number
two.
2.
He knows what it's like to be at a club where you have to win. You're expected to win. It's not just a case of, oh, you can win one, lose one. Liverpool are expected to win every game, and I think that's kind of gone on as well. I know we're going to talk about them now in a sec, but Celtic, it's the same. They're expected to win every game. I think that's a good pressure for our Irish players to have.
Yeah, and he's played far more football than your average like backup goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But you touched on Celtic there. We'll move on to them. Adam Ida and Liam Scales both played in the weekend against Dundee United, the game that clinched Celtic the league title yet again. For the 4th season running, I believe. Yeah. Both of them played. Liam Scales started. Adam Ida came off the bench and scored twice. There was a great interview after the match. Both of them were talking with their league winners' medals. Adam Ida was kind of talking about how he was a little bit disappointed at how the season kind of tailed off from a little bit when Kyogo Furuhashi left. We talked about it a good bit here about how we wanted Adam Ida to kind of grab that starting position. He did.
He told him to step up.
Yeah, and to be fair, to begin with, he did. I don't think he was really given the opportunity after that. I think they just preferred a kind of different profile of striker, and unfortunately that was to the detriment of his playing time. However, every time he does come on, I think he makes an impact, and we've seen that on the weekend. Your thoughts on the two lads winning another league title with Celtic?
Well, obviously it's fantastic. It's always great to see an Irish player win a title, never won a league, any trophy at all. You love to see it. But just in regards to Ida, like you said, we were saying to be the main man. I think it was a tough one because they ended up getting Jota back, who was a left winger, and then I think my Ida is kind of Celtic's one of their like main players. So they kind of moved him into like a false 9 position, and he was actually scoring goals. So, it was very unlucky for Ida because, like you said, he scores so many goals off the bench. Like if you look at his games played, he's probably played about 40 games, but not all of them are starting. A lot of them are like playing 10 minutes, 15 minutes, sometimes less than 10 minutes, and coming on and getting goals. So
most of them probably.
Yeah, exactly.
That game for Ireland he scored.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So.
And 17 goals in all competitions, Paul.
Yeah, look, I'm never doubting his ability. It was just more the game time and getting him playing. Don't forget, like he did score 2 big goals against Aston Villa in the Champions League as well. So there's big goals in there as well. Last year he scored the winner in the cup final against Rangers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So like he's scoring big goals for them. But like I don't know what it is with Irish players in Celtic, but a lot of the fans want to bash the Irish players. I don't really know why. Liam Scales gets a bad rap as well at times, and I just don't understand it. Maybe I'm not watching as much as them to see what they're doing so wrong. But most of the time when we're talking about Scales and Ida in the last couple of years, it's always been positive.
Yeah.
Until the last few months, probably since the red card against England, there's not been too much positives around Scales. But come back into the squad now. They're still winning games. He's won the league. And it's always nice to see Irish players winning the league at Celtic and keeping that kind of Irish connection.
And I'd say this season, especially for Adam Ida, probably one of the best individual performances from an Irish player this season. That game against Aston Villa in the Champions League where he scored twice. Liam
Great goals as well.
I do agree with you. After that England game, his kind of fortunes tailed off a little bit. Fell out of favour slightly at Celtic. Trusty ended up playing a bigger role at centre back for them. Liam Scales is a very versatile player, can play most positions across the back. Is he a player that you would look to in the summer and say you need to get him moved? Similarly for Adam Ida, do you think that could be an option for them, or would you say stick it out?
I'd say stick it out. I don't see any reason for them to move. They're going to be playing Champions League football in a couple of months again. Again, they're being tested at the highest level.
But are they going to be starting consistently?
Well, they were playing in the Champions League this season. Yeah, I can only think it'll only bode well for them. I don't see any reason for them to leave. If another centre half or another centre forward is bought, then you would look at it. But I don't see why Celtic would have spent the money they spent on Adam Ida, which was seen as a lot of money for Celtic at the time.
10 million.
That wasn't that much, but for Celtic it is. That they went and they bought him after impressing on loan. So I don't. Adam's problem has always just been injuries, but he seems. I don't recall too many times where he's been injured this season, where like he's always seems to be in and around the Celtic squad and stuff like that. I know he's not been first choice always, but I think if he can manage a really long run without injuries and in the team, I think he would score upwards of 20 goals a season. But he's been used kind of sparingly here and there in different parts.
That's what I mean, really. I'm
But I think he's better off being there than he is going to like somewhere like an Orange again. Like, what good is that going to do from playing the Championship or playing lower end Premier League and not getting chances?
Yeah.
At least he's scoring with Celtic, even if he's coming off the bench, he's still scoring goals. I'd rather someone coming in and have the confidence of that, bringing it in. And Scales, maybe he just needed this kind of end of season to remind Rodgers, that, I'm still in your plans. So he's actually finished the season really strongly. He goes, okay,
Yeah, he
I'll
has.
keep him. So
Steve, would you agree? Like, would you kind of maybe sacrifice the starting roles in order for a kind of nice position up in Celtic where he's coming off the bench and still performing really well? Would you make that deal?
I think what Paul said is valid. You kind of have to look at the transfer window as well, because Celtic can go and buy a striker, and all of a sudden either kind of has no choice but to leave unless he wants to compete with another striker. But
I think it'd be more centre half that they might do that for.
Yeah.
Scales more so.
I think so, yeah. So I think either probably should stay unless they bring someone in. If he's gonna leave, does he go to like a Burnley? I mean, I don't know. Like
wouldn't
where
get in at Burnley, would he?
I mean, where does he go? That kind of be my question. So, like Paul said, he's scoring in Champions League games, whether it's off the bench or not. He's still scoring in big games, and he's winning trophies. So, yeah, I'd like to see him maybe do another year at Celtic and see if he can kind of be like the nailed on number 9 for them going forward. But another player that is at Celtic and is Irish, of course, Johnny Kenny. I'd like to see him maybe get a move before Ida would. He hasn't got any minutes at all.
Rovers friends.
Back to Rovers, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. I'm just saying. I'd like to see him maybe move on.
Well, it is important, to be fair. He's a player who had huge hopes from coming out of the League of Ireland after the season he had last year at Rovers.
We'll get a summer move.
Yeah, played a huge role.
Yeah.
Played a huge role for them in Europe. And then just really didn't get a look in at all when he went back to Celtic. I think he's a player who has to get a move really this summer.
Yeah, and
the only thing is there that Rovers have got Michael Noonan now. They've got Aaron Green. They've got Rory Gaffney, so they don't really need him.
Yeah, but see, I'm not even saying it in like a Rovers point of view. I'm just saying it in like a young Irish player that's talented point of view.
Yeah.
He was joint top goal scorer in the Conference League with Nkunku for a while. You know what I mean? So like, that's crazy in itself.
Yeah,
so
but it does need to be looked at whether or not he goes out on a loan or a higher level maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets into that Celtic squad or near. If Ida can't start, I don't see how Johnny Kenny starts. And Ida is a fully established international now for Ireland. So
yeah, and I'd agree with you. I'm more than confident in Adam Ida's ability as a striker. I'd just be fearful of whether he's given that opportunity at Celtic in the starting role. Moving on anyway to Josh Cullen, who is promoted with Burnley. Scored again on the weekend against QPR away. They won 5-0. They're joint on points with Leeds at the top of the table, however behind them on goal difference. In a great position and going back to the Premier League, Josh Cullen.
Yeah, and it's neck and neck now between themselves and the mighty Leeds United. So whoever wins.
Don't get me wrong, I hate Leeds.
biggest club
club
in football history.
God, no, dirty Leeds.
No, obviously it's between them two now, so it's down to the last game of the season, so who becomes champions of the championship. But look, as we've said always about Josh Cullen, he's just a steady Eddie, reliable player. It's good to see him back in the Premier League now. I'm hoping that they can maybe do a bit more than they did last time he was in the Premier League. But again, more players playing at a Premier League level is only a good thing for Ireland. We're going to lose a good chunk of them now. Going down, like Bazunu's going down, Ryan Manning's going down, Darragh O'Shea, Chidozie Ogbene, Sammy Smodox, Jack Taylor. So we're going to lose a lot of players there. So maybe even Burnley might they might swoop back in for Darragh O'Shea, who they obviously lost. But I'd rather, as I said previously, Darragh O'Shea go to a bigger club or kind of a more stable club like Nathan Collins has done. So yeah, good to see with Josh, but it doesn't excite me or anything like that. Like I would love even if Josh moved from Burnley to a bigger club.
Sam.
I think he actually could do that. I think he'd be better off for his own career. But look, it's great to see him back in the Premier League.
Yeah, I don't think Burnley in any circumstance would sell him. He's so important to them. From an Irish point of view, selfishly, I'd love to see him go to a more maybe established Premier League club. But I think he's so crucial for them that they wouldn't let him go. Casey McAteer and Will Smallbone, two others who are being relegated.
That's how many? Doesn't need 10.
I know it's a ton this year. Steve, Josh Cullen been brilliant this year, starting to add some goals and assists to his game as well. It's great to see.
Tidy little finish as well against QPR. But yeah, and it's actually kind of crazy that Leeds and Burnley being on the same points. You would have thought Burnley had the higher goal difference because of all the clean sheets they have. And Cullen, he's a big part of that. He really is. In my opinion, I'd say he's their best player. And I think that he's at least mid-table Premier League, like lower mid-table Premier League level. I don't want to see him go up and back down again. That would kill me because we've seen against Bulgaria the performances he's put in this season. His assist in that game as well for us. So yeah, I think he's a much higher level than what he's playing at in the Championship, and I hope he gets that league title. And if he stays at Burnley, hopefully they don't go straight back down, because 2 seasons in a row we've seen the newly promoted teams go straight back down.
Yeah, just to touch on a few other things that happened over the weekend. Georgie Kelly scored again. However, Carlisle were relegated to the National League, unfortunately.
Friends.
You're me.
I'd love to see him come back to Bold. Oh my God, I'd love nothing more. But either way, get a move, because he's way too good to be playing at that level. He's a brilliant striker when he's on his day, and he's shown that in the back half of this season. David McGoldrick, another unbelievable Irish striker, still doing at 37 years of age.
Team of the season?
Yeah, team of the season for him. Has been brilliant for Notts County. 17 goals this season. As I said, 37 years old. Unbelievable.
And he's not scoring tap-ins. He's
No,
scoring
absolute
very, very
screamers.
good goals, yeah.
Yeah.
He's always been class. Like, even when he, remember he was released before he went to Sheffield United. He was released by a club, and then they took him in, and then he got promoted with them, and then he was like a cult hero on the COVID days in the Premier League with Sheffield United, and obviously with Ireland as well. I think a lot of people were very upset when he decided to call it a day when Kenny was manager, because he was so vital to the way we play. Like, he was so good at holding the ball up, but he also has like unbelievable skills and stuff like that. Like, now he's just kind of being like one of those wizards of the lower leagues, like Wes Hoolahan, or even I don't know, someone like Lee Trundle, like where he
James Collins.
Yeah.
well, actually, he is. Yeah. But with McGoldrick, like, he's timeless. Like, he's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he seems like a great lad as well. He spoke actually in an interview a while ago about kind of not really liking football at the top level because there's no real Mavericks, but he is a Maverick.
Yeah.
So look, hopefully he has a couple more years left in him. I think he's playing with his hometown club now as well, so he's enjoying playing with them and scoring goals and living the dream.
Yeah, brilliant. And like you said, he's almost like a player from a different time. Unbelievable player. Callum O'Dowda and Callum Robinson unfortunately relegated with Cardiff to League One. However, on a more positive note, James McLean captained Wrexham to a historic promotion to the Championship, so that was great to see. One more thing, Jimmy Dunn was named QPR's Players Player and Supporters Player of the Year. Also got his first Irish cap this year, so really caps off a great year for him.
Yeah, bit of a character as well. If you watch press conference, I hope he gets a good move. Moving forward. Yeah, he seems like a good player. He's playing right back a lot this season, so not his natural position. He's actually a big, huge lad as well. So look, it'd be interesting to see he gets a move and where would he go or that type of thing. You know, maybe someone like a Southampton coming down could be a good move for him.
Yeah,
to get back up to the Prem, and he could help out there. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking of like Ryan Manning and stuff like that. It was kind of an okay move for him, but he's never really kicked on at Southampton that you were expecting him to take Robbie Brady's place as the first choice left back in the Irish side. Look, that's a testament to Robbie Brady and how good he's been as well. But someone like that anyway, I'd be thinking of with Jimmy Dunn, and because I don't think he's going to get a Prem move, but I think he could get a high end Championship where they're pushing for
Playoffs
or promotion or champions, so even in Ipswich could be good with all the Irish contingent there if they stay. So there'll be options, there'll be suitors for him anyway, or even if you've got to move abroad, it'd be great.
Yeah,
he's had a good season, so I think a lot more European sides are looking to the Championship as a league where to actually take players, because the level is quite good. There's a lot of international players playing in the Championship, so it's a good league to buy.
Look at Gyökeres.
Yeah. Another player who could be on the move, maybe not this summer, but man, I wanted to get your opinion on Steve. Victor Ojanvuna. We're playing a bit of catch up here, but it came out last week that lots of reports saying that he could be on the move to Arsenal potentially. Stephen Bradley kind of talked about it, saying that it's a matter of when, not if.
He said it's serious stuff.
Yeah, he said it could it could exceed Mason Melia's fee of 1.9 million to Spurs, and extremely talented player already playing a big role in Rovers' first team. Your thoughts on that move for him?
Yeah, I mean,
Has he played a big role in Rovers?
no, he hasn't played a big role
No,
in that
not a
first
big
team
role,
now,
but for a 16-year-old playing first team football in the
Oh, he
League
just
of
hasn't
Ireland.
played a lot of games though.
no, he hasn't played a lot of games, but he comes on and
Played
obviously-
against Molde, played against Bows.
No, as in
Yeah, but
like
that was a long time ago.
as in like starting. He doesn't start many games, but he comes on late in games, and we see how
brilliant for
exciting
a
he is.
16-year-old.
No, it's great. Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah, I mean, the rumour is Arsenal, isn't it? So let's say he goes to Arsenal. Does he rot in the academy, or does he go out on loan? Like that would be my question.
But what do you think watching him as a player? Do you think he's well capable of that level? I know it's hard to judge now because he's only 16 and we don't know what he's going to develop into.
I don't think Steve can answer that because he doesn't play enough.
That's exactly what I was
He
going to
doesn't
say.
he doesn't get on much. He played against Molde and he was very good in that game, and he
Yeah.
came on in the extra time.
Well, that was kind of his
That was the first
his
time
coming out party. Yeah.
But then after that, never really he was on the bench the other night in the Shells game. Did he get on?
He came on very, very late.
Yeah, but you think not enough time to get involved in the game.
No.
That's what I mean. It's like you can't really like just that game against Molde. That was a great cameo to see what he was like, and he was the only one attacking in that game. But that's the only game I can think of.
But-
Obviously, you're
but
at
that,
Molde games more. But to see what he's actually like, it was only that game. I think because he's the only time he got relatively
Proper
long
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah. But that is also a testament of how much of a talent he is, because the little minutes he gets, you still see
Yeah.
the talent and the excitement that he brings. Like even my nephew, he's my nephew's favorite player. All the people in the crowd love him. All the younger kids love him. So, I just hope if he does get this big move, he doesn't just rot in the under whatever squad. You know what I mean? The reserve squad, whatever. I just hope that doesn't happen to him. So
the other thing that could be in his favour here with Brexit and all, like we've seen over the last couple of years, he cannot move to Arsenal until he's 18.
yeah,
So still 2 more years, and I'm pretty sure he's only gone 16, isn't he?
Well, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because he's missing out on a lot of academy football.
Yeah,
if that's
exactly.
the case, I know Rovers have their academy, but when you're talking like even with Mason Melia, I think Duff said it. It's like you're going over and you're almost at a disadvantage because you're not going over and getting the academy. The proper professional way that they run things over in England. Obviously, that Duff has spoken before about touches on the ball, minutes, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it wasn't being rude to you there, by the way, about the Ocean. He hasn't played as much, as to be able to kind of go or identify what sort of player he's even going to be.
or how he'd fit into like a different system.
Like
Yeah,
you clearly see he's very good.
yeah.
Like you don't play. That was Rovers' biggest game in how long? I know they had injuries, but it could be potentially the biggest European game for an Irish club that was, and he played in it, and he played a
think so.
big part.
Yeah.
That's more so my point. A 16-year-old shouldn't be getting anywhere near the pitch
Yeah.
in such a huge game like that.
But Noonan scoring.
Again, another
exactly,
player
yeah.
who I wouldn't be surprised if big rumours start coming out about. The other side of the coin of him moving there when he's 18 is that he gets to play a lot more first team football here at Rovers. You would imagine over the
Yeah,
next
I know.
few
I get
years.
what you mean by that, but I just think it's a catch-22 there.
Yeah.
What would you rather? For me, I love the fact that we get to watch these players like Mason Media week in, week out. We get to watch them, but are we preventing them from becoming better players in their development over a longer period of time? If they go over sooner, would they become better players? But then again, you look at like Troy Parrott, an example for Mason Media, didn't work out for him. So that's the double-edged sword there. Like, so what do you want? Do you want to watch them develop here? Maybe go over at a disadvantage, or
Yeah.
So it depends. It also depends on their attitude, because Seamus Coleman was someone who you look at and go, he never really had a chance, but he made his chance.
Yeah, but the
What
thing
way
is,
he did it.
in my opinion, and I'm no expert on this, but I think the longer that they can stay and play first team football in the League of Ireland is the better. While they might miss out on the sort of the elite level training programs and the coaching that they'll get over there, they get the experience of playing big games in the League of Ireland, playing against men, developing in that way. And for every Seamus Coleman, there's a million others who went over and you never hear of
That's
again.
what I mean.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So I think it could be a good thing that he stays and plays some big games, title races for Rovers. You would have to imagine. Another thing, I know we focus mostly on the men's game here, but we had to touch on this one because it was such a huge story. Katie McCabe gone to the Women's Champions League final to play Barcelona in May. They overturned a 2-1 deficit against Lyon. Won that game 5-3 on aggregate. Lyon, obviously one of the dominant kind of women's teams over the last few years, but Arsenal in their own right, in their own right, have been too. And
They
yeah,
won 4-1 in the away
yeah,
leg.
in the
Away
second leg they won 4-1,
Huge.
overturned that. So Barcelona in May, huge to see an Irish player playing such a high profile game.
Love to see it. Tell us on. So I'll let you speak about it first.
Yeah, you love to see it. She's been a great player for Arsenal for years. Great player for Ireland. Maybe not as good for Ireland as she has been for Arsenal, but yeah. Look, hopefully she goes and wins it. It's a very, very tough Barcelona team. Nearly every year the Ballon d'Or winner in women's football plays for Barca. Putellas, I think, won it last year, or Bonmati, one of them two. But they have some team. So look, hopefully they can do it. Please God.
I think it's a bit harsh with she hasn't been as good for Ireland because she has to play so further back because the rest of the team aren't that.
That's what I'm
high
saying.
level.
Yeah.
About maybe Denise and a couple of others, but not too many. So it's a bit. It's always been a bit of a tricky one with Katie, trying to like how do we fit her into the team. But then all the managers start messing around with formations and playing her as the number 10 and then left back. Well, it's just very annoying. I can imagine it'd be very frustrating for her, like wanting to play her best football, maybe as a left winger. But unfortunately, it's just never been the case. And it's like almost Gareth Bale at Wales, like trying to find ways to fit him into the team and stuff like that as a striker, as a winger, as a 10, just to get the best out of him. But no, it's great to see Katie for Arsenal. Great to see an Irish player representing. And obviously we know she's been a great representative for Ireland in football. So yeah, brilliant. And hopefully she goes and wins it now.
Yeah, and she's easily, like, on the women's team anyway, the most talked about, the most scrutinised player. So much attention on her, and it can get lost sometimes how actually good of a player she is. Like, I'd say men or women, she's probably the only player who's at like a truly like world class or near on world class level.
Well, I think the big issue over here in Ireland is that when it comes to women's football, they never talk about women's football. It's always some outside drama that's happened.
Yeah,
They never actually talk about the football.
Exactly. So I think that's a real problem I think we have with women's football over here, is that someone just catches on to something and doesn't let it go. And Katie's been scrutinised, as you say, many times by fans. If you look at comments and stuff like that, but if you look at her ability and what she's done on the pitch, you can't say she hasn't backed up what she said.
Yeah, and that's all we have here. So anything else you just want to touch on before we finish up?
I think McLean deserves a bit more of a mention than just like an honourable mention. I mean, they've gone back to back promotions. He was only, I think, involved in 2, but you know, kind of a goal he had set was to go down to he was in League 1 with them, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He wasn't in League 2. Was he in
League
League 2?
League 2.
He did, because remember he was giving out that he wasn't selected for a squad when he was in League 2.
But he did say that the goal was to get to the Championship, so he has ultimately achieved it. He's also been the captain of the team there that's led them to promotion. So listen, you can't knock it. It will be interesting to see if he's back in the Championship next season. We have a few players that are being called up from the Championship. Will he be thinking he deserves to be called up? I know in his head he probably will be thinking that, so it would be interesting to see what happens. But the Wrexham stories are very good, and I think Jamie Vardy's going to join them now as well next season, so it's going to be a hell of a story. Imagine they got promoted to the Premier League. So yeah, it's a great story. It's a great again, there's a few Irish players there as well, but he's kind of the main one, and he's the captain.
Yeah.
And like as you said,
picks that go hard, huh?
Yeah, picks that do go hard. As you said, Wrexham easily probably the most talked about team outside the Premier League in the last couple of years. So great to see a couple of Irish players, like you said, Owen O'Connell as well at the back for them, playing a big role, getting promoted, and hopefully have a chance at another promotion. It'd be like really incredible if that happened, and make this even more of a historic event. So yeah, great to see. What are you laughing at? Anyway, that about does it for us. Make sure to like and subscribe, hit subscribe, and like I just said, follow us on all the social medias, and we'll see you next week.
Good man.